I found another common denominator in all of the Bengals losses dating back to the Super Bowl loss against the LA Rams, and I'll give you a hint. It has something to do with running the football. Lou Anarumo, the defensive coordinator for the Cincinnati Bengals, he's been there for quite some time, 2019 until present day. Obviously has had some time developing things, but I want you guys to take a look at just his coaching tree and what he is ultimately best at. We can clearly see that he is really a defensive back specialist, similar to Sean McDermott, right? Coaching defensive backs all throughout his career with the Miami Dolphins in 2012 through 2017. And also a defensive back coach with the New York Giants in 2018. Knowing that Lou Anarumo's talent is really that defensive back position, I think the Bills should maybe understand that he's great at coaching up the defensive backs and also the passing game of the NFL. Now, similar to Sean McDermott, who is a safety defensive back coach early in his career, we know how great he is at coaching up defensive backs and finding these hidden gems late in the draft, such as Josh Norman, Trey White, 27th overall, Taron Johnson, and all of these guys. So I really believe, the one formula here to beat the Buffalo Bills is really running the football. And I think the Bills should maybe consider that going against the Bengals, and I have the stats to back it up. The stats prove that the Cincinnati Bengals are great against the pass, and this is the NFL turnover differential so far in 2023. And you can see the Cincinnati Bengals are actually third in the NFL right now with the overall turnover differential. They have here, with total takeaways on defense, a total of 13 takeaways. And then on offense, they have only given up the ball 6 times. Now, to take a look at this a little bit further, you can see the majority of their takeaways are interceptions versus fumbles. They have 10 interceptions versus 3 fumbles. And you just take a look at the other teams ahead of them. You could see Tampa Bay, 7 interceptions, 7 fumbles, much more balanced, as well as the Pittsburgh Steelers, 8 interceptions, 8 fumbles. And just a glance at this really quick before we get into the running stats and how I believe the Bills should be playing the Bengals. The Buffalo Bills on the season so far have 8 interceptions and 6 fumbles. They have double the amount of fumbles than the Cincinnati Bengals at 3, but the Bengals do have 2 more interceptions than the Buffalo Bills. Now, the reason why we are so low on this list is really because of our offense, right? The Buffalo Bills have given up a lot more than the Cincinnati Bengals. We have 12 total giveaways so far for this offense, whereas the Bengals have only 6. So really, that's the first formula for this Buffalo Bills offense to prevail in this game, is to limit the turnovers, to win the turnover differential in this matchup versus the Bengals. Obviously, that has been a luxury for the Bengals so far this season, having the 3rd best turnover differential in the NFL. The Buffalo Bills could do better and win that turnover differential versus the Bengals in this matchup. I think we're going to put some additional stress on that Bengals team. And Josh Allen currently has the highest completion percentage of any quarterback in the NFL right now, and I really think that signals to what Ken Dorsey and the Buffalo Bills have done to this point. Running a lot of shallow route trees, not taking a lot of shots down the field, something that Lou Anarumo is really great at, forcing teams, having those 2 high safeties, forcing them to throw underneath, throw the check down pass. Well, the Bills have really been working on that all season long. And they do have some great players on this team. You can clearly see that Daxton Hill, their safety, has 34 total tackles, second on their team in total tackles, and he's also second in total interceptions. This further reiterates Lou Anarumo's ability to enhance the defensive backs of the Cincinnati Bengals. Dax Hill is playing very, very well. Nick Scott, who are both new to their team, playing very, very well. Cam Tyler Britt, and you cannot forget Mike Hilton, their nickel cornerback, who's one of the best, if not the best, nickel cornerback in the league. And in my previous video, I did state that the Buffalo Bills have 3 players in the top 21 in total sacks, whereas the Bengals only have 2 in the top 35. Trey Hendrickson has 8 sacks on the season, but you have to go all the way to 35th on that list to find the next sack leader in the NFL for the Bengals. Once again, I went back to all the Bengals games to see any common denominators, any reoccurring themes, And one thing you're going to find interesting, it's not how successful teams were running the ball against the Bengals, it's just the amount of attempts that they had running the ball. In that Super Bowl loss to the LA Rams, you could see the LA Rams literally only had 43 rushing yards. But when you add up the total amount of rushing attempts in that game, the LA Rams stayed committed to running the football with 23 attempts. Pittsburgh Steelers beating the Bengals, and we can clearly see they didn't get over the 100-yard mark in rushing yards. They only had 75 rushing yards. And we could see the commitment to running the football, having 22 rushing attempts against the Bengals. Dallas Cowboys took care of the Bengals here, and we're going to see the team stats. Rushing yards, first team here to go over the century mark against the Bengals at 107 yards. We could see the commitment to running the football here with 27 total rushing attempts. Baltimore Ravens in this game came away with 155 rushing yards, and the total amount of rushing attempts in this game was 28 rushing attempts. So I hope you guys are starting to notice a theme here. It doesn't necessarily need to be a lot of rushing yards. It's just really the total amount of rushing attempts and keeping Lou Anarumo guessing as a defensive coordinator throughout this game. And sure enough, the Buffalo Bills lost against the Bengals in the playoffs, a 27-10 loss. The Buffalo Bills had 64 rushing yards, and we could see the commitment to running the ball for the Bills. We only had 19 rushing attempts, 8 of which were from Josh Allen. In the following week, in the AFC Championship game, the Kansas City Chiefs beat the Bengals, and check this out. They only had 42 rushing yards total, but look at the commitment for the Chiefs running the football here. The Chiefs had 20 rushing attempts against the Bengals. Consolidating all these stats, understanding that you really don't even need to be that successful running the football against Joe Burrow and the Bengals. We just need to stay committed to running the football. Notice that the 20 attempts by the Chiefs was the lowest amount. The Buffalo Bills obviously lost at 19 attempts, but we really saw 22, 28 attempts rushing the football against the Bengals. And here you can clearly see the averages of all the NFL offenses right here in 2023. The Bills are averaging 63.8 plays on offense per game. If you take 20 rushing plays and you divide it by our average at 63.8, the Buffalo Bills should be running the football in this game 31% of the time. It's clear to me the Buffalo Bills need to stay committed to running the football. Now, I know Ken Dorsey and Josh Allen has the highest completion percentage in the NFL, mainly because of the short route tree and throwing high percentage type throws, which a lot of people say the short passing game is an extension of the run, but I still think the Bills would benefit from staying committed to running the football. And who do we have? James Cook in year 2. We got Latavius Murray, a potential for Leonard Fournette to get out on that field. And the other benefit to running the football is the play action. Notice that the Buffalo Bills have used play action with Josh Allen under center. And what that does is it really defeats the defensive backs in Lou Anarumo's scheme. When we know his defensive backs are boosted because that's his background, that's his coaching tree. So if the Buffalo Bills could run the ball, right, utilize the run, keep those defensive backs in the passing game a little bit honest, utilize play action, give our wide receivers a little bit more time to create space, I really think that is going to pay dividends for the Buffalo Bills versus the Bengals in this matchup. Now, I get it. The Bills are without Dawson Knox. We're kind of depleted there with that 12 personnel that we've been running a lot of the play action from. But the Bills still could utilize play action. And the other thing we saw just last week was Josh Allen starting to run the ball again himself. Now, when you look at the matchups in this game, Mike Hilton, I already mentioned, being one of the best nickel cornerbacks in the NFL, being matched up with Deontay Hardy, Trent Sherfield, or even Khalil Shakir, that's a very, very tough matchup for the Bills. So that even just indicates more so even running the ball a little bit more. Now, Dalton Kincaid could very well be matched up on Mike Hilton too, but they have some speedy coverage linebackers that do a great job as well. Dalton Kincaid can have a big game here, but I really think the best matchup for the Bills is on the perimeter here with Gabe Davis, with Stephon Diggs. We saw a little bit different of a route tree for Gabe Davis last week. And as Bills fans, we really don't even know what the Buffalo Bills are going to be doing offensively here because of the loss of Dawson Knox, because of the additional hurry-up offense that we utilized last week. I mean, we as Bills fans don't even know what we're doing. Lou Anarumo sure as heck doesn't know what we're going to try to do in this game. The stats don't lie that the Buffalo Bills have been more successful running the ball out of 11 personnel versus 12 personnel. So when we have those 3 wide receivers out there versus the 2 tight end sets, the Bills have actually been more successful running the football. Nick Saban was interviewed this week, and he said, in the NFL, the coaches really stay there for a lot longer, and you really get to know one another, their tendencies, and what they're ultimately planning on doing. And sure enough, we have Lou Anarumo there since 2019. And when you take a look at the success that teams have had against the Bengals, it's the commitment to running the football. I'm sure that commitment to running the football takes some things away from Lou Anarumo and what he ultimately wants to do defensively. So keeping the Bengals honest, keeping them guessing is the formula for the Buffalo Bills to win. And don't forget about the turnover differential. We cannot afford turnovers in this game. But I want to hear from you. Let me know what you think is the good recipe for this Buffalo Bills offense to have success against Lou Anarumo's defense. Drop a comment down below. Hit like if you could. Every like means the absolute world to me. Subscribe if you enjoyed this video for future content, releasing videos every single day as well as going live during every Buffalo Bills game. I appreciate every single one of you so much, truly from the bottom of my heart, and go Bills.